Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are starting a new episode, or should I say a new series. It's called Finding the Right Cocktail. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, my name is Marsha, and I talk about actionable steps that anyone can take if they suspect that they have symptoms of neurodiversity. So, if you feel like you are displaying symptoms or have in the past of neurodiversity, this channel is for you. Or if you feel like your kid is displaying symptoms of neurodiversity, this channel is for you. So, this is episode one of Finding the Right Cocktail. I want to go back to my very first visit with my psychiatrist, the very first one where you're filling out the new patient paperwork. You don't know you're the psychiatrist. You've never met them before. You've never spoken to them before. The only thing that you have is a confirmation email about your appointment and their name. And so I was, of course, very nervous. And I described to my psychiatrist what was going on with me. I was under a lot of stress from home, with my personal life, in addition to a lot of stress from work. And one of the things that I told my psychiatrist is one, I wasn't able to focus. I am taking a lot longer completing tasks more than normal. And I'm not able to do things in sequential order. I find myself doing something and it just didn't make sense. For example, I was rearranging my living room and I moved the sofa, and the sofa caused the rug that's on top of the carpet to crumple up. Well, I should have moved the rug out of the way so that when I move the sofa, uh, the sofa is not sitting on top of the rug and causing ripples in the rug. And once the sofa is positioned in the right place that's suited for me, then I can lay the rug down. And then if I need to lift up the tiny little corners of the sofa and allow it to rest on the corners of the rug so that it can smooth out, then that's fine. But something like that would seem really, really, I don't know, simple and easy, but it just didn't. It just really didn't in my head. Another thing I would do is I would call and ask about things that I was interested in that I didn't really plan on partaking in. For example, I swim. I swam in high school, but and I go and I just swim all day. But I'm much better at swimming on my back than I am on my stomach, and I just wanted to get some swim lessons. And I had no intention of showing up to those swim lessons. And so I called up, asked a bunch of questions, went up to the YMCA, got a brochure, and it was just for no reason a complete waste of my time. What I should have done is prioritize the to-do list that I had for that day and then wait until I'm actually ready to attend the swim lessons and then get all of the information. So I explained all of this to my psychiatrist. I also explained to him that my work is really stressful and I have panic attacks, and I pretty much have anxiety from the moment I wake up to working, and the only time I get any relief is when I'm leaving. And the reason why I'm so anxious about going to work is because I dread it. And then I also told my psychiatrist that um, I have, mood swings. And some days, really not some days, about 2 weeks out of each month, I feel really great, right? I feel like I can conquer the world and I feel like I can get things in order. I can think straight. I can prioritize tasks. I can organize them in my brain and then tackle it the way that it should be to stay productive. Well, the other 2 weeks is me just not doing anything, right? I don't feel motivated. I don't feel disciplined, and I basically have no structure in my life to get anything done. And so I really am in this funk for about 2 weeks until I can get out of it. So, and then he asked me, well, actually, he didn't ask me a couple of questions. He made a couple of statements, and I was really annoyed that he didn't ask me. But he said, well, usually what happens is you get into this mania stage where you spend a lot of money that you don't have, you commit to a task really aggressively, and then once your energy is burnt out, you don't go back to it. Um, and I was just thinking, yeah, I get it, but I never told you that I spent a lot of money. I told you that I was obsessively going to the gym, and then I stopped. So I just was really annoyed and really, I don't know, just um, flustered as to why he's telling me, he's describing things that I'm doing in my mania stage. Now, granted that I was doing that, but I wish he would have asked me that instead of presuming that's what I was doing, right? And so, anyway, those are the things that I told him. Those are the symptoms that I told him I was going through. And so he said, well, I am not going to prescribe you anything for focusing because I really don't think that you have a problem focusing. You told me that you get up really early in the morning, you spend a lot of time getting ready for your day. That lets me know that you don't have any trouble focusing. And then I waited until he was finished, and then I said, well, there are days where when I do get up, I just stare in space. I just sit on my bed, I stare in space until, I don't know, I'm ready to get up and start my morning routine. And I said, the fact that I get up that early uh, means because I would get up, I don't know, 3, 4 hours before it was time for me to work. And yes, I would do things like, put my makeup on, meditate, do my yoga, sometimes even go to the gym. But I'm telling you, there's about an hour of dead space of time lapse that I lose just, looking for things. Picking up something and putting it down because I don't remember why I was picking it up in the first place, packing my lunch, and then not remembering that I moved it from right in front of the doorway to the kitchen counter, and then circling back after I got in the car, those types of things. And I said, I really do believe that I'm not able to focus even at work. Sometimes I have to read something 10 million times to understand what I'm doing, and especially when the task is really simple. And there are other times where I'm reading a book and it's taking me a long time to read the page and then understand what I'm reading. So I think that has to do with focusing. And then, of course, he disagreed with me again and said my problem wasn't focusing, it was mood and my anxiety and panic attacks. So, in the end, he said what he would do is he would prescribe me lamotrigine, and that will be for my mood to help regulate my mood so that 2 weeks out of the month, I'm not. unmotivated in a depressive state. And in the other 2 weeks, I'm super excited, motivated, and encouraged. What he said is it'll give me some sort of equilibrium so I'm not flip flopping up and down. And then he also said he's going to prescribe me buspirone. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. And it's a long acting, extended release for anxiety. And so what it does, it prevents the anxiety from happening. So he was going to start me on those two meds, and then with the lamotrigine and both lamotrigine and the buspirone, it was after 2 weeks I would need to increase the dosage. And when I picked those medications up from the pharmacy, the directions were on the front of the bottle telling me that for 2 weeks I need to take one, and then you need to increase it to two after the 2 weeks. So in a sense, I was microdosing. And then the last medication that he prescribed for me was sleep, because I did explain to him that I was having issues sleeping. And even when I am sleeping, my thoughts are constantly racing. So when I wake up, I really do not feel refreshed and rested. I feel like it's just a continuation of the previous day. And he said what he would do is he would prescribe clonidine to help me sleep. And I went home and I looked up these meds and what they were used for, and I found out that clonidine was used for high blood pressure. And I also told my therapist that, that I went to the psychiatrist, because my therapist recommended that I see a psychiatrist as well. And I told her, I went and I had my new patient um, for very first visit, and this is what I've been diagnosed with, and these are the medications that was recommended. And my therapist said, "Clonidine? Do you have high blood pressure?" I said, "No. As a matter of fact, I can't remember any time having high blood pressure. Every time I go to the doctor, even when I was pregnant, my blood pressure always run really low. That's my baseline, low. So I don't understand why he would ask me why he would prescribe that. And then before I went in with the psychiatrist, my vital signs were taken. And the technician, no, she was a nurse, asked me the same thing. She said, "Is your blood pressure normally low?" I said, "Yes, that's my baseline. I run pretty low." So he did not look at my records, and he did not connect the two. And I did not know to ask that question because I did not Google those prescriptions until I left his office, and the prescriptions were already sent electronically to my pharmacy. So in my mind, it was too late. I wasn't offered the option, if these are not working, let me know. It takes 90 days for it to actually work in your system, but I will do a follow up with you in 45 days, or it might have been 30 days. So, um, if I had known, that I could reach out to my psychiatrist and say, "Hey, by the way, my blood pressure runs really low, so I don't believe that clonidine would be a good fit for me," I would have done that. But I really just thought whatever the psychiatrist prescribed, that's what you have to take, and you would bring up the issues that you were having with those meds on the next scheduled visit. So, those are the medications that was prescribed for me on my very first visit to the psychiatrist. And that is the end of episode 1. And throughout this series, I am going to talk to you about each medication and the effect it had on me, and what the course of action, what kind of course of action was taken after I advised the psychiatrist. And I had two of them that the medication wasn't working quite so well. Because remember, the goal is to get the right cocktail for you. What medications work for someone else may not work for you. Even the dosage that works for someone else may not work for you. So it's important to communicate with your psychiatrist about some of the things that's happening to you while you're using the medication. And I would document, I would send a text message to yourself, get one of those apps where you can type in things like a reminder or Google Notes or like a journal. They even have an electronic journal and electronic diaries now. So I would document everything so that you can track that data and relay it to your psychiatrist. So that's what I did. And that was very, very helpful. And also put timelines in too. So if you're having certain symptoms for 1 week or 3 weeks, they need to know that. Or if those same symptoms change after the second week, that's important too. So, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the end of part one of the series, Finding the Right Cocktail, and I'll see you guys in episode two.